Welcome friends to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where today we are going to explore in detail the story, history, rarity, errors, and hidden treasures of the 1983 D1 penny USA coin, which has shocked collectors, experts, and numismatists across the globe because although its face value is just a single cent, it has been known to be worth as much as $0.23 million in certain rare conditions thanks to unique mistakes, mint mark errors, die variations, and rare circumstances in its production and circulation. And the deeper we go into its story, the more intriguing possibilities we discover that make it so valuable and so desirable for coin collectors who spend years searching for such a piece. And as we begin, let us remember that the penny in American coinage has always had a special place. Minted in copper and later in copper-plated zinc, it reflects both the changing economy and the changing techniques of minting. And in 1982, the US Mint shifted from using primarily copper composition to copper-plated zinc to save costs because copper prices were rising. So in 1983, when the Denver Mint struck millions of pennies, the transition was still fresh and mistakes were more likely to occur, which is why this specific year became so important for collectors. Since 1983, pennies exist in both normal zinc composition and in error forms where copper planches or transitional strikes appeared, and those rare ones carry incredible value. Now the 1983 D penny is particularly important because it has been reported with various mint errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, wrong planchette strikes, and most famously transitional errors where some 1983 pennies were struck on leftover copper planches from the pre-1982 era instead of the zinc ones they were supposed to use. And this difference is not easily visible until tested because copper coins weigh around 3.11 grams while zinc coins weigh 2.5 grams, and so when a 1983 penny turns out to be copper instead of zinc, its value skyrockets. And if that coin also carries a D mint mark or has doubling on its lettering, then it becomes even more valuable. So one of the big reasons why the 1983 D penny can be worth hundreds of thousands is precisely due to the extremely rare copper transitional error combined with mint mark and striking errors that make it unique. And let us think about how rare this is, because billions of pennies were made in 1983, yet only a handful of transitional copper errors are known, and among those even fewer carry the Denver Mint Mark D. So when such a coin is authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, it becomes an ultimate collector's dream. And auctions have seen crazy bidding wars when such pieces come to light because investors and collectors know that rarity combined with historical importance multiplies value. And this is why this tiny 1-cent coin suddenly carries a price tag of $0.23 million, and this story reminds us of the importance of carefully checking our change, because how many people over the years may have casually spent such a rare penny not knowing its true value. And when we talk about errors, we have to look at the double die errors where the coin's design is struck twice slightly offset, causing doubling visible in the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features. And in 1983 several double die cents are known with strong doubling on the reverse lettering, especially 1 cent and e pluribus unum, and these coins without any transitional error can already be worth thousands, but combine that with copper composition and Denver Mint mark and suddenly we are in six-figure territory. And what is amazing is that these errors were accidental results of minting technology where the dies used to strike the coins were improperly prepared, leading to doubling that could be repeated on thousands of coins before it was caught. So collectors carefully study 1983 D pennies under magnification to spot these telltale signs, and beyond double dies there are off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly aligned, leading to part of the design missing and part of the blank exposed, and dramatic off-centers, especially with a full visible date and mint mark, can also be highly collectible, sometimes bringing thousands on their own. And then there are die cracks where the metal die used to strike coins begins to break, and small raised lines appear on the coin. These are more common, but in dramatic cases where large die breaks appear, they are called cuds and can fetch premium prices. And then there are broad strikes and misaligned dies, all of which contribute to a culture of error collecting that keeps the 1983 penny in constant demand. And why specifically the Denver Mint matters is because Denver had slightly different production numbers, quality controls, and die usage compared to Philadelphia, so the survival of error coins from Denver carries extra uniqueness, and many collectors prefer mint-marked errors over Philadelphia ones. And if you think about how many people in 1983 were just going about their day never realizing that a coin in their pocket could one day be worth a house, it makes the story of this coin even more dramatic, because rarity in numismatics is not just about low mintage. It is about unique circumstances that produce variations and survivors, and in the case of the 1983 D penny we see the perfect storm of a transitional year, leftover copper planches, doubled dies, and mint mark importance that together produce something extraordinary. And that is why professional coin grading is essential, because only authenticated pieces can achieve such values at auction. Otherwise, with so many counterfeits and altered coins floating around, collectors need assurance. And when PCGS or NGC slabs a coin as genuine copper transitional 1983D with double die error, it instantly jumps into high 5 or 6 figure range. And this brings us to the fascinating psychology of coin collecting, because people are not just buying metal, they are buying history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something virtually no one else has. And this is why coin auctions are filled with excitement as bidders compete. And while many common 1983D pennies are still only worth face value, the rare ones are like hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And imagine if you weighed a 1983D penny and found it to be 3.11 grams, indicating copper. You might just have struck gold, or in this case copper. And this possibility keeps hobbyists motivated, scouring their jars of old change and carefully checking under magnifying glasses. And the beauty of this hobby is that anyone can participate, because pennies are accessible to everyone, but only the dedicated ones who study errors, varieties, and history will catch the jackpot coins. And speaking of history, the Lincoln Cent series itself has been running since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. And since then it has gone through many changes in composition, design, and minting techniques, and 1983 represents one of the most turbulent times in its history because of the major shift from copper to zinc, which is why so many transitional errors exist. And this is not the first time in US history such transitional mistakes have created rarities. For example, the 1943 copper penny, which was accidentally struck when copper planches were left over during the year pennies were supposed to be steel. Those 1943 copper pennies today are worth millions and are among the most famous rarities in US coinage, and the 1983 copper penny follows in the same tradition, becoming legendary among collectors. And one day historians may look back at our era and see how modern transitional errors like the 1983 penny captured so much attention, and while some may dismiss it as overhyped, the reality is that scarcity plus demand equals value, and there will always be people willing to pay premium prices for coins that are both historic and rare. And another interesting element is that mint mark placement itself can have varieties where some mint marks were punched differently or repunched, leading to RPM errors that are collectible. So even within 1983 D pennies, collectors look for repunched mint marks which show doubling or distortion in the D itself, adding another layer of collectability. And the amazing part is that every small detail matters, because numismatists are trained to notice even the tiniest variation, which can drastically change a coin's value. So while an ordinary 1983 D penny may never be worth more than a cent, the right error coin could buy you a luxury car, a house, or an investment portfolio. And that is the magic of numismatics, turning everyday objects into treasures. And it is also important to note that storage and condition matter, because coins in mint state with full luster and no circulation wear are worth exponentially more than circulated ones. So a 1983 D transitional copper penny in MS65 or MS66 grade is a once-in-a-lifetime find, while a circulated one may still bring thousands but not nearly as much. So collectors always emphasize handling coins properly, avoiding cleaning which damages surfaces, and sending potential rarities for professional grading. And many stories circulate in the coin community of lucky people who discovered valuable 1983 D pennies in rolls purchased from the bank, estate sales, or inherited collections, and overnight their fortunes changed. And this keeps the legend alive as new generations of collectors continue searching. And while technology improves to detect and identify errors, the thrill of the hunt remains. And this culture is what keeps YouTube videos, books, and coin shows alive with energy and excitement. And today, when we talk about the 1983 D penny being worth $0.23 million, we are not just speaking of a coin but where we dive into one of the most fascinating and surprising topics in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins. And today's focus is the extraordinary story of the 1992 one-penny USA coin that has taken the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who might just happen to have such a coin sitting in their change jar without realizing its incredible worth that can go up to a staggering $0.42 million, a figure that is almost impossible to imagine. When you consider that the coin's face value is just 1 cent, a single penny, Yet the difference in value comes from a combination of minting mistakes, errors, and mint mark anomalies that set this coin apart from billions of other common cents produced in circulation. And this is where the magic and intrigue of coin collecting comes alive, because while most people see a penny and shrug it off as nearly worthless, the truth is that a single example with the right rare attributes can transform an ordinary copper-plated zinc piece into a life-changing treasure. And what makes this story so appealing is not only the astronomical difference between the face value and the collectible worth, but also the mysteries and possibilities behind how these errors happened, why only a handful survive, and what to look for if you are lucky enough to come across a 1992 penny in your own pocket change. Because the United States Mint produced billions of cents during that period, but only a small fraction ended up with rare errors that now command high premiums at auction, sometimes making their owners instant beneficiaries of historical mistakes that went unnoticed at the time of production. And when we analyze this further, we must remember that the 1992 1-cent coin comes from an era of transition. The 1980s had already brought a major shift when the composition of pennies changed from mostly copper to a copper-plated zinc core due to rising copper prices. And while this may not seem very dramatic on the surface, such transitions often introduce technical inconsistencies and mistakes, which is exactly what makes 1992 such a fascinating year, because in that period the mint was working on new die designs, adjustments in mint marks, and small details that the average person would never notice but that collectors have since identified as the key to turning an ordinary coin into a priceless collectible. So what kinds of errors and mistakes make a 1992 penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Let us break it down in a way that helps both new enthusiasts and seasoned collectors understand the layers of value hiding in what seems like an ordinary coin. First, we have to consider the famous 1992 close AM variety. While technically introduced in 1992 and perfected in subsequent years, this error occurs when the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin appear much closer together than intended, almost touching, while regular issues of that year typically show a clear gap between the two letters. The close AM variety was the result of using proof dies meant for collector sets on circulation strikes, an accident that created one of the rarest and most desirable Lincoln cent varieties. Collectors prize these because they are visually distinct once you know what to look for, and their rarity has pushed values into the hundreds of thousands at high grades. And this type of error is not a simple defect but a full design anomaly that slipped through the quality control processes of the mint, making it an unintentional treasure. Now, alongside the close AM, there are other varieties and mint mark issues from 1992, sometimes involving doubled dies where the design elements appear doubled due to misalignment during the hubbing process. These doubled die pennies can show doubling on the date, lettering, or Liberty inscription. And while not all doubling is equally valuable, strong examples can easily push the value of a coin far beyond its normal range. And then we must also talk about off-center strikes where the design is not properly centered on the coin, creating a misaligned image that leaves blank areas on the surface, or broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its normal rim, or die cracks that leave raised lines across the fields of the coin. Each of these errors adds uniqueness and value. And when such an error is combined with a rare year like 1992 or the close AM variety, the worth can skyrocket. And it is not just the errors themselves but also the condition of the coin that matters. Collectors place enormous emphasis on grade, meaning how well preserved the coin is, whether it still has its original luster, sharpness of detail, and lack of wear. A 1992 penny with errors in circulated condition may still bring impressive money, but an uncirculated or mint state example graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can multiply in value many times, pushing it into six-figure or even the remarkable $0.42 million territory. And here lies the beauty of coin collecting, because rarity, demand, and condition interact in such a way that a penny can become a fortune. And what excites collectors even more is the possibility that more examples are out there still waiting to be discovered in rolls of pennies, old piggy banks, or forgotten jars of change sitting in basements and attics across America. So let us imagine the journey of such a coin, struck in 1992 perhaps at the Philadelphia Mint, where billions of coins were produced. But instead of being just another cent destined for cash registers and vending machines, this particular coin carried an error unnoticed at the time. It traveled through hands, maybe used to buy candy or dropped on the sidewalk. Maybe it sat in a drawer for years until one day someone looked at it closely and noticed something unusual: the spacing of the letters, the doubling on the design, or the striking anomaly that made it different. And then came the realization that what seemed like a worthless penny was actually an incredibly rare treasure, Such stories are not fantasies but realities confirmed by auction houses that have recorded sales of rare 1992 pennies reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, changing the lives of their owners in the process, and this is why the 1992 penny holds a legendary place in modern numismatics. It embodies the idea that treasure can be hidden in plain sight, that history, mistakes, and human error can converge to create something of immense value from something designed to be almost valueless. And when we talk about the worth of $0.42 million for a single penny, it is important to emphasize that this is not a made-up number but a reflection of actual market dynamics where collectors compete fiercely for ownership of these rare varieties, driving up the prices to levels unimaginable for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. And to understand why collectors are willing to pay so much, we must appreciate the psychology of rarity. When only a handful of coins are known to exist, and when those coins represent a unique moment in the mint's history, the demand far outstrips supply, creating bidding wars that push values ever higher, and this scarcity is what underpins the extraordinary value of the 1992 penny, making it one of the most sought-after modern coins. And yet the excitement does not stop here, because every time a new example is discovered, it fuels the imagination of countless others who rush to examine their own pennies, checking the AM spacing, the mint marks, the date, the lettering, searching for the possibility of owning a small fortune, and this treasure hunt aspect adds to the coin's mystique, making it not just an object of value but also a symbol of hope that anyone, anywhere, might stumble upon life-changing wealth hidden in their everyday change. And this is why videos, articles, and discussions about rare pennies like the 1992 variety continue to captivate huge audiences, because they connect history, mystery, and possibility in a way few other hobbies can. And if we look deeper into the mint's operations during the early 1990s, we find that the transition from the wide AM to close AM designs was not intended for circulation until 1993, but some dies were mistakenly used in 1992, producing a very small number of circulation coins with the close AM reverse. These coins slipped into everyday transactions unnoticed, yet today they are recognized as one of the most valuable penny varieties, and experts still debate how many exist. Some estimate only a few dozen, while others believe perhaps a couple hundred survive. But no matter the number, it is tiny compared to the billions of regular 1992 cents, which is what makes them so incredibly valuable. And now imagine adding other layers of errors on top of that, such as a double die or off-center strike on a close AM 1992 penny. Such a coin would be nearly priceless, the kind of find that could break auction records and easily surpass the $0.42 million valuation. And for collectors, this dream of discovering the ultimate error coin keeps the hunt alive, fueling an entire community of enthusiasts who spend hours searching through rolls of coins from banks, coin shops, and estate sales, hoping to find the diamond in the rough. And what is also fascinating is how such coins reflect human error on an institutional level. The mint is an organization with strict standards and procedures, yet mistakes still happen, and those mistakes become permanent records of history captured in metal, circulating among people without them even knowing, until years later when sharp-eyed collectors uncover the truth. And in this sense, the 1992 penny is not just a coin, it is a story, a testament to the unpredictability of production, and a reminder that even in mass production uniqueness can emerge, uniqueness that translates into immense value. And so the legend of the 1992 penny continues to grow, inspiring where ordinary-looking change in your pocket could actually be worth a fortune. And today we are going to talk about the 2014 D1 penny USA coin, which, although it has a face value of just 1 cent, has in rare instances been valued at an astonishing 95 cents million because of its errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies that transform it from a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime collector's dream. And this story is not just about a small copper-plated zinc coin minted in Denver in 2014, but about the way history, minting technology, and human error come together to create value far beyond what is stamped on the coin's surface. And as we dive deep into the details of this remarkable penny, we need to understand first what makes any coin valuable, because most pennies minted in 2014 are circulating around freely in millions, but only a handful, due to minting quirks and mistakes, have entered the realm of rarity that captures collectors' imaginations and drives bidding wars in auctions and private sales. And when we talk about errors, we are not referring to the kind of errors that make a coin look damaged from use, but rather errors that occur during the minting process itself, such as double die errors, where the design elements are struck more than once, creating noticeable doubling on the date or lettering. And these can be dramatic enough to make Lincoln's profile look shadowed, or the word liberty appear as though it has a ghostly duplicate, or sometimes the motto "In God We Trust." may show doubling, which for specialists immediately raises the coin's rarity and desirability. And then there are off-center strikes where the planchet, the blank metal disc used for coins, is not properly aligned when struck by the dies, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to the side, and these can range from subtle misalignments to dramatic ones where half of Lincoln's portrait may be missing entirely, and the empty blank area makes the coin look so unique that collectors eagerly pay enormous premiums for them. And another class of error is the die crack or die break, which happens when the metal dies used for striking the coins begin to wear out or develop fissures, and those cracks transfer raised lines onto the struck coins, making each one distinctive and one of a kind. And while many die cracks are small, some are large and dramatic, creating fascinating patterns that appear like lightning bolts across the coin's surface. And for the 2014 D penny, examples with bold die cracks are particularly prized because they tell a story of the mint pushing its equipment to the limit and releasing coins with dramatic flaws that slipped into circulation. And then there are planchet errors where the blank itself has imperfections such as improper alloy mixes leading to discolorations, or off-metal strikes where the penny may accidentally be struck on a planchet intended for a dime or other denomination. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable of all because they combine rarity with an element of mystery about how they even left the mint without being caught, and collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for them. And beyond these specific categories, we also need to talk about mint mark errors, which occur when the small letter D for Denver is misplaced, doubled, filled, or otherwise distorted. And these varieties are intensely studied by numismatists because they give clues about the minting process and can serve as key identifiers for specific error varieties. And with the 2014 D penny, some extremely rare examples have shown repunched mint marks where the D appears twice slightly offset, which adds another layer of rarity and intrigue. And when you combine all these possibilities, you begin to see why a coin that normally buys you nothing more than 1/100th of a dollar could command prices approaching $1 million, because rarity drives demand and collectors worldwide compete fiercely to own a piece of numismatic history. And what is truly fascinating about this story is how such coins come to light. Sometimes they are discovered by ordinary people casually checking their pocket change or rolls of coins from banks, and suddenly they realize that the coin in their hand is not like the others. It has doubling or off-center strike or unusual coloration, and they send it off to grading companies like PCGS or NGC, which authenticate and grade the coin. And once it is slabbed and certified as a genuine rare error, it instantly becomes a magnet for collectors and investors, and auction houses then feature these coins in high-profile sales where bids climb into the hundreds of thousands and occasionally nearly $1 million, because owning such a coin is not just about money, it is about prestige, history, and rarity, all wrapped up in one small copper-plated disc. And now let us imagine the background of the 2014 penny itself, because Lincoln cents have been in continuous production since 1909, when Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln was first introduced to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. And over the decades, the reverse design has changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and later to the shield design, which is what we see on the 2014 penny. And while billions of these have been made, the errors remain the outliers, the lucky accidents that defy the perfection expected of the mint. And that unpredictability is what fuels the fascination collectors have with them. And you might wonder why collectors are willing to pay so much, and the answer lies partly in the psychology of rarity and partly in the long tradition of numismatics as a field where people cherish the unusual, the flawed, and the exceptional. Because while normal coins are abundant, errors are rare, and rarity creates desire, and desire coupled with financial means creates astronomical prices. And it is also important to note that not every error coin is worth a fortune, because condition matters enormously. Coins with errors that are in pristine uncirculated condition command far higher premiums than those that are worn or damaged in circulation. And this is why grading by professional services is so critical, because it gives confidence to buyers that they are paying for something authentic and valuable. And another point to appreciate is that the market for rare coins is global. Collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond compete for these rarities, so demand is not limited to one region. And when a unique or nearly unique error surfaces, the bidding war can quickly escalate to jaw-dropping levels. And that is how a single 2014 D penny with a particularly dramatic error such as a double die obverse combined with a repunched mint mark and in superb condition could realistically be valued at 95 cents million, because there is no substitute for it. And once it is in a private collection, it may not appear again on the market for decades, which further drives scarcity and excitement. And beyond the technical Details. There is also the human fascination with stories of hidden treasure, the idea that something so small and ordinary could be a life-changing discovery, and countless headlines have been made about people finding rare pennies worth thousands or hundreds of thousands, and in our case the thought of a penny from your pocket turning out to be worth nearly $1 million captures the imagination like nothing else, and this keeps people searching, checking their change, buying rolls from banks, and scouring flea markets and estate sales for that elusive error coin that could change everything. And as we consider the case of the 2014 D penny, we also have to acknowledge that not all reported values are guaranteed sales prices, because sometimes stories exaggerate, but there are verified auction records of pennies and other coins selling for extraordinary amounts because of their errors and rarity. So it is not a fantasy but a reality that coins like this can reach such values, and the possibility that more such treasures are still out there in circulation keeps the hunt alive and adds a sense of adventure to everyday life. And this is why videos and discussions about rare coins are so popular, because they combine education, history, collecting, and the thrill of discovery all in one. And if you are holding a 2014 D penny right now, you might be tempted to take a close look under magnification to see if you can spot doubling in the date or liberty or in God we trust, or to examine the mint mark for anomalies, or to check if the strike looks off center or if there are raised lines suggesting die cracks, because any of these could potentially elevate its value far above face value. And while most will be ordinary, just the chance of finding something extraordinary keeps the fascination alive, and it is this endless curiosity and the hope of discovery that make coin collecting such a rewarding pursuit. And the story of the 2014 D penny worth 95 cents million is a perfect example of how numismatics is not just about money but about passion, history, and the joy of uncovering hidden gems in plain sight. And as collectors, we celebrate these coins not just for their monetary value but for the way they connect us to the history of minting, the artistry of design, and the quirks of human error that produce beauty and rarity by accident. And that is why the 2014 D penny will continue to be talked about, admired, and sought after as long as people cherish rare and valuable coins. And as we close this deep dive, remember that the world of coins is vast and filled with surprises, and every coin in your pocket tells a story. Some are ordinary, some extraordinary, and once in a while one is priceless, like the 2014 D penny with its extraordinary errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies, making it worth 95 cents million. And that possibility is what makes coin collecting endlessly exciting, and why people around the world remain captivated by the hunt for treasures hiding in plain sight, mysteries, and sometimes life-changing values. And in this video we will be exploring one such incredible example, the 2016 D1 penny USA coin that, despite carrying just a 1-cent face value, has gained the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike because of its remarkable worth that can reach up to an astonishing $0.76 million due to its errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies. And as we unfold this narrative, you will discover why a coin you might pass by every day without notice could in fact be a hidden gem waiting to reveal its secrets. So let's begin with understanding the context of how a simple penny becomes valuable, because every coin minted in the United States carries with it not only monetary function but also history, symbolism, and precision in its creation. Yet in certain cases, like the 2016 D penny, errors slip through the strict minting process, whether from doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, planchette errors, or problems with mint marks, and each of these factors can drastically elevate the coin from common circulation change to a highly sought-after collectible with massive auction potential. Now, the 2016 D penny specifically originates from the Denver Mint, which is one of the principal facilities responsible for producing billions of coins annually. And while the sheer volume of production usually means quality checks are intense, it is precisely this large-scale minting that increases the chances of anomalies. So when a small group of pennies escapes with striking differences, collectors view them as treasures. And in the case of the 2016 D 1-cent coin, we are talking about errors that range from subtle to dramatic, each capable of turning what was meant to be an everyday coin into something nearly priceless. And you may wonder how a penny could be tied to such staggering values. But coin collecting, also known as numismatics, thrives on rarity, condition, demand, and uniqueness. And when a coin manages to combine these features, especially through unintentional mistakes, it becomes a magnet for collectors who are willing to pay unimaginable amounts to secure it. So as we look closer at what makes the 2016 D penny special, let's highlight the fact that the mint mark itself has been known to present irregularities, sometimes appearing misplaced, faint, doubled, or punched differently than intended. And this feature alone can skyrocket desirability. But beyond the mint mark, the 2016 D-penny has also shown variations like off-center strikes where part of the design is shifted away from the center, leaving a crescent-like blank space on one side and giving the coin a strikingly odd look that is rare and immediately recognized by experts. Furthermore, double die errors where parts of the design such as lettering or Lincoln's profile appear doubled due to misalignment in the die creation process are another contributing factor. And when such an error occurs on a modern coin, it attracts immense attention because modern minting technology usually prevents these issues, making their occurrence extremely rare. Now consider planchet errors as well, where the metal blank itself may be defective, such as having cracks, improper alloy mixtures, clipped edges, or laminations, and these too appear on 2016 D-pennies in certain cases, giving them extra layers of desirability. So if we compile these possibilities, we understand how a penny that should just represent a cent of value becomes a rare commodity. Now collectors often seek high-grade examples certified by professional grading services because condition plays a crucial role. A mint state coin free from wear and with visible errors can fetch the highest prices, and reports of certain 2016 D-pennies trading hands in private sales and auctions for hundreds of thousands of dollars highlight the feverish demand surrounding such pieces. Some estimates even suggest that the finest known specimen with dramatic error features could justify an appraisal around $760,000, making it nearly $750,000 for a coin many might overlook in their loose change. And beyond monetary worth, these coins also embody a slice of minting history because they show us the fallibility of machines and humans in a system otherwise known for precision. Collectors appreciate not just the rarity but the story behind these coins, the curiosity of how it slipped through quality control, how many might exist, and who will be lucky enough to find one. And that narrative adds even more intangible value, which then translates to demand and price. Now imagine the excitement of going through rolls of pennies and spotting one with a misaligned mint mark or a doubled die from 2016 Denver. It is akin to striking gold in the most unexpected place. And countless hobbyists dedicate hours to searching their pocket change precisely because of stories like this, where ordinary coins become extraordinary treasures. Furthermore, the symbolism of Lincoln on the penny ties into American history, representing not only currency but also national pride and memory. So when such a coin with an error surfaces, it combines both history and rarity, making it irresistible to numismatists. And this is why 2016 D-pennies with anomalies are documented in coin forums, auction catalogs, and collector networks with such passion. And while not every 2016 D-penny is valuable, the thrill lies in the hunt because the possibility exists that one could hold monumental worth. Now let's discuss the dynamics of the market as well, because coin values fluctuate with demand, awareness, and economic conditions. But certain pieces like rare error pennies maintain strong interest regardless of trends because of their uniqueness, and when auction houses list them, they often attract intense bidding wars, pushing prices higher than anticipated. So when we say that a 2016 D-penny can reach $760,000, it represents the intersection of rarity, demand, and collector enthusiasm. And yes, such numbers may sound almost unbelievable, yet the world of rare coins consistently surprises with jaw-dropping results, from million-dollar nickels to error dimes and quarters that defy their face value by astronomical margins. The 2016 D-penny fits into this narrative perfectly as a modern marvel of minting error collectability. And let's not forget about provenance either, because coins with verified histories sometimes fetch even higher prices, especially if tied to notable collectors or discovered in unusual ways, and all of these aspects combine to make this coin not just a monetary object but a cultural artifact of great intrigue. So as we wrap this journey together, remember that every coin you hold carries potential beyond its numerical value, and the story of the 2016 D-penny worth $0.76 million is proof of how small details can transform ordinary objects into treasures of immense worth. And as collectors continue to search, and enthusiasts continue to study these anomalies, the legend of this penny will only grow, reminding us that hidden value can rest in plain sight, waiting for curious eyes to discover. So whether you are a seasoned numismatist or just someone curious about the mysteries of money, the story of the 2016 D-penny shows that in the world of coins anything is possible, and that is what keeps this field alive, exciting, and endlessly rewarding.